Welcome back to Bloodhunt Central. I'm Jembu, and today we're going to be looking at the clans and archetypes that were currently in the game during the alpha. Please consider hitting the like and subscribe button and following us on Twitter for future videos. And with that, let's jump right in. During the alpha there were 3 clans that were available to play, and these were the Bruiser, the Nosferatu, and the Toryador. There has also been an announcement before the alpha that there would be a 4th clan that would be released in the future, and these would be the Ventru. However, we're going to look at the clans that were in the alpha and break down their abilities and archetypes. As an overview for how the clans are structured in Bloodhunt, each clan has 2 archetypes at present, and each archetype has 3 abilities. A clan ability that's defaulted to Q, a passive ability, and an archetype ability which is defaulted to E. Each archetype will share the clan's Q ability, where their passive and the other skills will be unique to that archetype. The first clan on our list is the Bruiser. The Bruiser's clan ability is known as Soar and Leap, and the 2 archetypes that were in the game were the Brute and Vandal. Soar and Leap allows a clan member to jump forward in the air. This can be used when running, climbing, or mid-jump. This allows a player to close distances quickly or jumping longer distances from rooftop to rooftop without having to scale the walls of the building if the gap is too large for a standard jump. When the ability is activated, you are propelled forward. However, you are still prone to taking damage, so make sure when you activate the ability you use your surroundings to your advantage. This ability had a base cooldown of 20 seconds, which could be reduced when a player feeds on an NPC with the corresponding resonance. At max cooldown, you could get the Soar and Leap ready to use every 10 seconds. Overall, this ability is a nice mobility skill. There are many instances when you can incorporate the jump into your movement across the rooftops, or using it as you are scaling a wall to get a quick boost to the opposite rooftop. It is a good skill to have if you need a quick getaway or looking to initiate a fight. The first Bruiser archetype is the Brute, and its ability is the Shockwave Punch. The Shockwave Punch unleashes a shockwave in a straight line from where it's activated and travels on the trajectory for a distance. The ability can deflect bullets and hurl players into the air. The base cooldown for the punch is 18 seconds, with the max cooldown being 9 seconds. The punch can be used to deflect incoming weapons fire and can be used to push players around the battlefield. Knowing where you are on the map can help you, as you can force your enemies into the lines of fire of the entity, who will target them when they see them. You can also push players off the building's rooftops into the canal surrounding Prague to be eaten by the shark that lives in it. The Brute's passive is True Grit. This allows a Brute to regain up to 50% of their health when out of combat. It is helpful when you are low on health to disengage from a fight and regen back to half health. It allows you then to top up with a blood bag or a syringe, or find a mortal to feed on to regain your full health. Vandal is the second archetype for the Bruiser, and their ability is called Earthshock. Earthshock allows you to leap forward and crash upon the ground, dealing damage and hurling enemies into the air. Earthshock has a base cooldown of 22 seconds, which can be reduced to 11 with full resonances. The ability is great for knocking people into the air and then using a shotgun or dual pistols to make some solid hits on the opponents, which often led to them being down. You can also activate the ability while using Soar and Leap so that you can disengage and then re-engage the enemy straight away. And out of the 2 archetypes, I played the Vandal a lot more over the alpha, as I like the combo between Soar and Leap and Earthshock. The Vandal's passive is Adrenaline Rush. This ability gives you a moderate resistance to damage when in proximity with an enemy player. This shows as an icon between your clan and archetype abilities and will turn on whenever you are close to an enemy. I did notice that the range of this was fairly short, but I believe the passive would make the Vandal the prime candidate for a melee focused character, as you would need to be up close and personal with the melee weapons. I could see the Vandal using Soar and Leap and Earthshock combination to initiate the fight, and using Scourgeblade's dash to close the gap if they manage to get away. You could also make the build more devastating if you were to max out the melee damage resonance, as you could increase the damage of the melee weapons by up to 50%. The next clan on the list is the Nosferatu, and their ability is called Vanish. This allows a player to become invisible and move rapidly for a brief duration. As you can imagine, this ability, much as any of the other clan abilities, are good for engaging or disengaging in a fight. The ability has a base cooldown of 24 seconds and it lasts for around 2 to 3 seconds, and if you were to max the cooldown, the ability would have a 12-second cooldown. While invisible, you are still prone to damage, however you are completely invisible to the opponent unless you are revealed. This is incredibly strong for repositioning in a fight and if you want to get behind your opponent or even if you want to flank them. The first archetype is Saboteur, and their ability is called Sewer Bomb. This is where you throw a bomb that explodes and releases a toxic gas when approached by an enemy. It has a base cooldown of 20 seconds and a max cooldown of 11. This ability is good to use in confined spaces where there isn't a lot of places to move, or you can put them at key locations on the map and hide to set up ambushes. It is triggered when an enemy is in proximity to it and deals damage in quite a large area. The passive for the Saboteur is Unseen Passage. This turns the Saboteur semi-invisible when crouching. This is good if you want to set up as a sniper on a rooftop. Using the contours of the roof and the shadows will help you blend in. You break your invisibility when you stand up or take an action, however it has a short cooldown until you're able to do it again. Finding places to go invisible is incredibly easy and can lead to some great ambush or sniping moments. Twinning it with the Sewer Bomb can confuse and disorientate an enemy long enough for you to get the drop on them. The second archetype for the Nosferatu is Prowler. The display style of the Prowler is completely opposite to that of the Saboteur. The archetype ability is called Scouting Famulus. This ability sends out bats to scout an area, temporarily revealing enemies through walls. It has a base cooldown of 16 seconds with the max cooldown of 8. The bats are visible in the area that you send them to, and they are there for quite a long duration of time. So much so that at max cooldown you can recast the ability while they're still active from their first cast. The ability reveals enemies through walls and rooftops for a while, and even if they use any of their abilities you will still be able to see where they go. The ability is good for later stages of the game when the play area is so small you can reveal multiple enemies at one time. The Prowler's passive ability is Sense the Beast. This makes severely wounded enemies leave a trail that reveals their recent movements. You can follow this trail to see where the enemy has gone. It will show if the player has used any abilities, and will even show when a player is downed and where they are hiding whilst regenerating. This is a good archetype if a player likes to constantly be on the move and engaged in combat, as it does help you find and hunt your enemies effectively. It is by far one of the most popular archetypes that I saw being used during the alpha, and I would believe in the next alpha test or beta test it would be the same. The final clan that was in the alpha was the Toryador, and their clan ability is Projection Dash. This ability sends out a projection of yourself that you can dash to. The ability has a base cooldown of 22 seconds and at max cooldown 11 seconds. When the ability is activated, you throw a projection of yourself in a straight line, which then allows you to leave your projection on a rooftop, ground, or even high in the sky. You have the ability to dash to this projection for 10 seconds until the projection fades and your cooldown begins. As with the other clan abilities, this allows you to reposition or help you juke your enemies by misleading them in which way you are going. The first archetype for the Toryador is Siren, and their ability is Blinding Beauty, where the Siren slowly erupts into pure beauty, blinding and damaging all nearby enemies. The base cooldown for the ability is 18 seconds, which can be reduced to 9 seconds when at max cooldown. Blind Beauty creates a shatter glass-like effect on your opponent, which then disorients your enemy. It also causes 20 damage to your opponent. You can be quite aggressive when using Blinding Beauty, as the shattered effect is quite prominent on the screen. The passive for the Siren is Kindred Charm. Nearby civilians are charmed temporarily, making them act friendly towards you and your team. This makes feeding on them a lot easier, as you can feed on mortals in groups. This stops you being blood hunted if another mortal sees you feeding. This can be incredibly strong when upgrading your resonances early on in the game, and even stronger in groups. The final archetype that was in the alpha was the Muse, and their ability was Rejuvenating Voice. You enter a restorative state that heals you and nearby allies while channeling. Taking damage or using a power while channeling interrupts the healing state. The cooldown for this ability is 18 seconds with a max cooldown being 9. This is a really strong ability when in groups, as you have healing whenever it's off cooldown, but be aware, however, when channeling you will be most likely primaried, as this will interrupt your channeling ability if you are using it in combat. The Muse passive is Final Act. This instantly refreshes your cooldowns, enables you to use your powers while downed. This allows you to heal and use projection, helping you regenerate if you are on your own, as you can hide by using projection, or you can hide and heal your allies if you're in a group. This archetype is a good choice for those who like playing support style roles in a group and helping keeping your allies alive. Out of all the archetypes that I could play during the alpha, I really enjoyed playing the Vandal and the Prowler. However, I didn't get a chance to try the melee version of the Vandal, but I have seen some incredible videos online of how this playstyle works, especially with the upgraded melee damage. That's it for this video. We'll cover these again if there is another test and update anything that has changed. We look forward to seeing what the Ventrue look like and what kind of abilities they will receive when they are released. Thank you again for watching, and we'll look forward to seeing you in the future videos, and I'll see you in Prague.